Our station doesn't carry our magazine,
No,
but I
we're
see it every
KFAA
morning.
or
Your
what-
WFAA,
Okay, Bobbie.
yeah,
WFAA,
ABC
yeah.
affiliate.
Yeah.
In 5, 4, 3, 2.
Well, Gary, it's nice to be able to sit here and reminisce with you a little bit about when you and Mary Ann were doing Casa Manana.
Yeah, it must be the water down there, Bobbie. You look terrific.
You don't look too bad yourself. And even though it's our competitor, I have to say that I see you nearly every morning on our magazine
Thank you.
program.
I'm real happy. The show does very well in Dallas, Fort Worth. And thanks to all the folks. And I try to get down there as often as I can.
And then, of course, we see you on the Miss America pageant.
Yes.
And this will be, what, your third year?
It's the third year.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, Gary, I'm wondering, when the Vanessa Williams thing broke, did they talk to you at all about that at the time that all the furor was going on?
No, Al Marks tends to run a pretty tight ship, and that was really an executive board decision that was made. No, I hadn't been talked to. I was not consulted at all until we started doing interviews for publicity for the Miss America pageant, and I'm very happy the pageant took the stand that it did, and they took it promptly, because I think we'd all be in a very embarrassing situation today now that the news has come out that there are additional photos and that she has indeed posed again, which is unfortunate. But I think she handled it graciously, and the pageant handled it properly, and I think therein lies the strength of the pageant.
You know, Gary, I've had to do some reports and some commentaries on that, and the question that I have not been able to get an answer to, and maybe you can shed some light on it, is why did she do that in the first place?
I don't know, Bobbie, why does any young woman do that in the first place? Why do people buy that trash, those magazines? See, I don't understand that. I'm baffled by that. So I talked to Vanessa last week, I believe it was, at the beginning of the week. She was in San Francisco doing a show called, the one with Linda Carter and Lonnie Anderson, Partners in Crime. And I asked her to come down and spend some time with me on the program, because from Mary Ann, I don't think there's a woman out there who isn't baffled by the same thing, isn't concerned with the reasoning behind it, the motivation. And I thought it'd be kind of nice to explore that. She, I guess, has been advised not to have any conversation relative to that, I guess for litigant purposes. So instead I'm going to have a psychiatrist and another young lady that is posed for the magazine's on next week, and we're going to explore that area because I find it fascinating, because you do cross the line, as the editorial in the New York Times said. I'm still baffled. I don't understand it. I don't know what goes on in the reasoning process that would in any way determine that this is good for you or good for your career or good for something. I don't know what the point is. So hopefully I along with my viewers, will come out with a little better understanding of it.
Well, nude pictures, that's one thing, but this
Right.
is just really, well, let's say it, it's pornographic.
Yes, that it is, and that's the part I don't understand, because I know Vanessa, and this is what's so baffling. I've been with her over the year at various functions and so forth, and she's a very reasonable, talented, charming, delightful young lady. You got me, Bobbie. I don't know.
Well, I'll be watching.
I'll tell you the one thing, but look for the silver lining. At least, on a good day, this magazine's only going to sell maybe 800,000 copies. And one of the reasons that people find it so difficult to understand and believe is that a lot of people, 70% of the country, have no idea what those pictures are, no idea to the extent of the pictures, and in some ways find the pageant's reaction a little bit harsh. But as you say, once you get a look at the pictures, then you understand why everybody had to take the position they did. I'm sorry to see additional pictures come out. I just thought the whole thing had kind of be put to rest, because if anybody got damaged, it was Vanessa. And as she said, I don't think they'll forgive me 2 mistakes.
Gary, I wonder if, now that you're in the role of an interviewer, if you ever have to ask a question that you think, gosh, I wouldn't want somebody to ask me that question. Do you find you're ever in that position?
Sure. I find myself asking questions that If I were sitting across from someone at a dinner party, I wouldn't ask, or in a cocktail party or any social setting. But then you have to weigh that against the fact that the person is there, and the question you would not be doing your job, and you'd be doing a disservice to your audience if you didn't ask it. I think the thing that the person on the receiving end of the question doesn't realize is that you can always say no. And maybe that's a secret we should all, as interviewers, keep for ourselves.
Big mouth that you are.
Yeah, but people are compulsive. That's why magazines and interviews and so forth are such big business today. People are compulsive. Who was it? Santayana said that someday the public's going to become our confessor, and indeed it has. I don't know where we go from here, but obviously talk and insight and gossip and everything is very popular and very interesting today.
Well, I find you, as an interviewer myself, I find you just a charming and very good interviewer. I enjoy watching you on the air.
Well, thank you. I stumbled upon a technique, Bobbie, and that was ask as simple a question and get out of the way. And I guess I did that because I hadn't had any experience in it. And lo and behold, if you don't have a follow-up question, they will continue talking. So I did learn that. And bless them for that. But I enjoy this, the whole process of interviewing, and now I know why you all were so smug and happy all these years.
Gary, it was fun seeing you
Thank you.
again, having a chance to talk with you, and my very best to Mary Ann.
Thank you,
and to
Bobbie,
Clancy,
very
too,
much.
because
Thank
I got
you.
to meet her. Thank you. Good interview, Gary.
Good, thank you.
Excellent. Very good. These are the Gary Collins questions. Gary, do you think the pageant officials did the right thing about asking for Vanessa Williams' resignation? Gary, how do you think the pageant officials handled this? Have you ever been able to find out why Vanessa posed for those pictures? Nudity is one thing, but these pictures are, well, let's just say it, pornographic. As the host of our magazine, do you find yourself having to ask questions that you think, oh my gosh, I wouldn't want anybody to ask me that? Gary, have you devised any sort of interview technique? Okay. These are the